and this is my issue with the school system.
When you come from a certain situation, you kind of focus in and kind of narrow-minded on that particular lane. Coming from a public school system to go to private, it was a whole new world.
It's all about labels. You know, you got to be labeled.
Let's just start about graduation.
You go into the school system, you just need to figure out what that label is. You got to be labeled something, right?
Yeah,
that's how
that's how idealistic
the
world.
system knows how to take care of or what to do.
That he can just be a little kid that has fun and runs around and does his thing.
You know, they got this grading system, right? A to F, you know, A at the top, F at the bottom. You get an A, you're a good kid, you're smart, everything is right with the world. You get an F, you got a problem, you don't know anything, you're not paying attention, whatever it is. It's always a negative connotation, you know, attached to that. But it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, it's not that black and white, right?
If I have my child going through private school, say they went through private school, grammar school, all their lives, absolutely, I would take them to a public school because, again, they've been going through this private school the whole time, so they got this idea of how the world works. No, I'm gonna throw you in. I'm gonna throw you here. Same thing with my sister.
You got kids coming to school, and you know they got their own personal problems. They got their own learning style, and the school system is not set up for everybody to succeed. It's set up for in one way, you know. And if you don't fit in that system, you struggle. You know, it's hard to get there, right?
So I grew up in Detroit, and Detroit is, I think most people know, is I think it's still the blackest city in America. So, you know, when I was growing up, all my neighbors looked like me.
You can have a kid that goes into one class and he gets a D. You can put that kid, put him in front of a different teacher, same curriculum, same lessons, and he get an A, right? Because it all depends on your learning style, right? I didn't connect with this teacher. Whatever this teacher was trying to tell me, I didn't get it. But with this teacher, I connected with, you know. But and how fair is that, right? So now, but it don't work like that.
Leading a building of about 1,000 students and families, I need to make it real personable to each kid.
You know, you got to go through life with whatever grade that this teacher gives you, and now I'm placed into this bucket, right? And the kids that get placed in the buckets of the learning disabilities or the problem kids, or some of the kids that's even relocated into a different school because they a problem, it's hard to get out of that bucket.
You know, my mom and dad thought it was important that I, you know, see that, but also see what's in the outside world. And now, these kids, the way I see it, they're breaking all sorts of barriers in many respects. You know, there's not this line or bifurcation between what you look like and where you come from.
So now they're going through life thinking that, oh, I'm a failure, I can't do it, I don't get it, I'm dumb, I don't fit in, I'm not as smart as the other kids. They going through life like this, all of their school life like this. And then after they get into school, they going into the workforce like this, you know, and that kind of carries on. So I'm not a fan of all of that.
Going to De La Salle, the transition was it was different because I was nervous, you know, because it was totally 180 from where I came from. So I didn't know how I was supposed to move and shake, you know, and so I'm just kind of, you know, you got to wear uniforms, and then, you know, so I'm like, okay, uniforms, whatever, this is stupid. I'll roll with it, whatever, but it was a lot of people more wealthy than where I came from, right? So it was nervous around that, so I'm always kind of conscious of how I looked, how I acted, because, you know, growing up, you always want to kind of project the right image because you know there's always the stereotype already. So that was one of the biggest things for me, is just trying to show that and and prove going in that I was smart, because all of a sudden they got this stereotype. Oh, okay, well, he going to hoop at De La Salle, that's probably why he here. He probably not that smart, he just got in. And so immediately mine was, I got to hit these books, skip all this other stuff that they doing so I can show and prove.
Well, let's just talk about graduation, high school. You just need that basic piece of education to graduate from high school. Nationwide, what, about 50%? You know, here in Minnesota, it's a little bit better when we look across the country. But when we look at our kids, it's a 50 chance, and that's not good. And it's our responsibility, the school, the community, to really understand how do we prepare kids for college and career.
Well, I talk about this all the time, is that when you come from a certain situation, you kind of focus in and kind of narrow-minded on that particular lane. And coming from a public school system to go to private, it was a whole new world to me. So I felt like, it's like an explorer almost, because I was like, oh, they do this different, this is different. Even coming from Chicago to Minnesota was exploratory to me. It's like, oh, they do this, like we don't do this here. This is lame. But everybody was calling it lame, and for me, it was lame because that's where I came from, but I wanted to understand. I would say that was the biggest thing for me, and it helped me a lot, just taking that 180, engaging where they're at. As an educator, that's what you want to do. I mean, that's what education means, to draw out of, right? So you want to draw that inspiration out of them, but if you go into them and say, oh, well, you into Malcolm X, no, you need to read about Thomas Jefferson, or you need to read about, you can be like, it doesn't work.
Trying to get, okay, if you're a kid trying to fight for an A, right, that can be, it can be simple, right? You go, you study, you ask questions, you get extra help, all those things. But trying to navigate through the other things, like the social aspect of it, is difficult. You got kids coming from all areas of the city, all different backgrounds, economic status, and you trying to navigate your way through a pool of people that you call your friends or your associates. You're trying to navigate yourself through a system that may not even be designed for you.
The school systems and teachers, they had, hey, this is what I did to get to where I'm at, so you need to do the same thing. Not understanding their background is different, their proclivities are different, they enjoy different things.
But me, I had an identity issue because I'm around a bunch of kids now that don't look anything like me, and that's in a completely different economic situation than I was. And I didn't understand that, especially in grade school. I didn't understand that, but I didn't have nobody there that can kind of talk me through it. Like, why are these kids different than me? Why are they in this different position that I'm in? And it was tough for me because I always felt like I had to prove that I can be here, like I fit in here. I created a mask for myself. I put it on this persona that everything was all good. I'm living like y'all are living. And I put that on. But it's about self-confidence and respect, and really trying to find the best way I can put it is really kind of find yourself, and the reason